So just to be clear, I am putting this part in the video after I already recorded this. This video is about Optic talking about the problems with Warzone. Now, nowhere in there do they really dive into hackers whatsoever. They're more so talking about the gameplay, movement mechanics, and the problems with the game design aside from Ricochet and anything like that. I think right now, one of the biggest problems is hackers, but there's also this downfall, this downward trajectory of Warzone as a game as a whole. That is more so what they are talking about outside of the hackers. I just wanted to add a little thing that, yeah, we all hate hackers. We all know it's a problem, just because I knew we'd see it a lot in the comments. So just wanted to throw that in. Now let's dive into the video. So a couple of days ago, I had a video talking about skill-based matchmaking. Specifically, it was looking at like Nadeshot and these other people who used to be on the Optic team talk about what they thought of skill-based matchmaking. Today, we have a different one. This one is the problem with Warzone. Now, here's the thing with this. These are pro players, and when it comes to pro players in Call of Duty, they generally speaking have their own way of looking at the game. It's centric around the competitive community and what is going on with competitive play. Now, I'm curious in this video, we've got Seth here. I'm wondering if they're going to be talking about the competitive side of things or just the casual gaming community as a whole. Because people like Seth and Nadeshot, I would say, are one of the few that have their finger on the pulse of what the actual casual community wants. Sometimes I find they're a little bit off, but hey, that's my own opinion. But I'm very curious to hear what they have to say here, so let's dive into it.
Kind of these pillars that the community kind of rages about. So like verticality's one, movement's one, like give us the balloons so we can go quick like Apex has.
I think that one, for example, is more some of the hardcore players that are worried about that, speeding up gameplay, getting more kills. You got to put on a show for everyone who's watching kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's like, I kind of disagree with that because there are things that they know that people don't like, but they put them in there anyway because they're trying to cater to the casual who wants to sit on top of those big ass buildings and snipe people.
True.
They also got rid of all the shit
I just
that
think
people do like.
I think
or that made
Verdansk,
Warzone good. Like Matt was saying,
Like what?
Yeah.
fucking whatever they did the last year in Warzone, they actually made it good. And then they basically just restarted from scratch.
Yes. So this is one thing that we've talked about ad nauseum. He is 100% right here. What they did really every year, I was going to say this year, but it's really every year, they basically have to constantly refresh the game. And when they implement a new game, which they didn't do with Modern Warfare 3. So I think this needs to be clear here. When Warzone 2.0, basically the version of Warzone we're on now is Warzone 3, but we'll come back to that in a minute. When they refreshed Warzone with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, they called it Warzone 2. They basically undid all of the good fixes we had up until that point with the Caldera and with Verdansk and everything like that before. So they reverted all of that. Al Mazrah comes in, and Al Mazrah's a good map, but they changed everything that people wanted. So then Modern Warfare 3 comes along. It's not a full update. They have a whole year to fix all of these problems. They do that, and then Warzone 3 comes out. We'll just call it that. Everything's reverted back to the way it was, or even a worse state in some cases. And people are like, what the hell? Why am I even playing this game if they keep just breaking the things that they've already fixed?
For this game.
See, that's what I don't get. They have these
don't get that
ideas. They
part.
have these things that work. They'll put something out that people love. Like people love the stim shot because you can stim and just shit on somebody. But then like the other side, it's like
The way he talks.
it's like they have two separate just
Honestly,
groups of people yelling at it.
The issue is probably goes back to
wait. That's great. They have two separate groups of people yelling at them. He's right. He's got what the casual people want, and you got what the competitive people want. They're complete opposites. So how do you balance that? It's not an easy answer.
they should just be two different games.
Yeah.
Something in there is probably messing with it. They're like, we can't keep this because the new game and the new engine or blah 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 has messed it up. I don't really know. And then maybe they have to put in all the work to make it to make the old Warzone like the new Warzone. Maybe it's a bunch of fucking work, but like I said, it probably all stems from it being
the problem
Being
with
intertwined,
every
you're right.
map following Verdansk is the lines of sight. Like,
Okay, go on.
In Verdansk, you could see all, like, everything around you, right? Yeah. So you could get 30.
Has Krim lost a bunch of weight? He looks like he's lost a bunch of weight.
Partied, right? Which I think is
the only bad thing in Verdansk was the big ass building.
yeah, but
Yeah.
in-
less clutter.
Yeah, there's less clutter, so you have to worry about multiple things. Like if you land Superstore, right,
Yeah.
you got to worry about 360
He's
degrees.
got a good point.
Right? If you land top of that volcano on whatever the fucking that map was,
Caldera.
all you got to do is look down. Yeah, it's 360 degrees, but no one's going to be running
Are you
up
talking
the
about
fucking
Caldera
hill.
when you'd land peak and you farm peak and then jump off to the little town? It was the same rotation every
And then when you
single game.
land on
We
the
had
ground,
Godzilla and
all you're
fucking
going to be
King Kong
doing,
battling it out. Like,
all you're going to be doing is running straight in a circular pattern.
listen,
like,
2 to 3
that's all you're
years,
gonna
2
do.
to 3 years before Battle Royale.
So I said that was a big problem with Caldera, is that the middle was elevated. So you could just land there and see everywhere around you. And either you're stuck pushing uphill or you're coming downhill. Obviously, it's better to come downhill. The balloons did help with that. I will say they really helped with that map. But having that center elevated is a problem. And they have that with Area 99. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. And it's not to the extent that the Caldera was, but...
Royale even came out. I said it in a podcast that the way that it should be you go from raid to a different part of your battle royale to Burgundy or to Jane and all them. There's all these maps that you were talking about, all spread out throughout the history of Call of Duty. And favela is recently right. There's a favela area in
Urzikstan?
in the current one.
Favela.
I don't think there's favela.
Isn't it favela with the soccer? With the soccer field in the middle?
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm like, oh shit, this looks like favela.
There is a soccer field, but it's not like favela because that's kind of in downtown. There's not really.
Okay, whatever, but the opportunity is there because why not? Why not include all those maps and sprinkle them across like the actual Warzone?
I've heard rumors, and these are purely rumors, that is what they're going to be doing more so with Verdansk than they already did. So like in Verdansk, there was a couple areas that were maps. Like you had like the terminal, you had, was it Summit at one point was in the top of Verdansk. You had the Gulag, you had various things from various different maps. I've heard that in this new version of Verdansk that they're working on, there's going to be more of that. Now, I haven't heard any specifics, but I've heard that they're changing locations. And that could be bad. If that is true, that could be extremely bad if people are just expecting old Verdansk. But at the same time, if you're just expecting old Verdansk, is that nothing's going to change? Is that really what you want?
Map.
That's why
they did.
See,
They did, yeah.
that's kind of like a problem, though.
I don't. For me, listen. I'm not playing enough Warzone to speak on the maps because I don't know if the maps are necessarily issue. I think how long people are playing the maps for are a problem. Like the fact that Black Ops 6 on Move got integrated Warzone, they're still playing Urzikstan, big map ranked is fucking insane.
Yep.
The problem that they have, in my opinion, is how often they change the movement and the mechanics of the game. Because the only clips that
Oh shit, this is a good point.
you see of Warzone for the last 3-4 years are these crackhead kids running stims, Y-wine, slide cancel around, jump shotting, bunny hopping, and they tried to nerf that completely with Warzone 2. They listened to the wrong people in the community. They try to appease everybody in some regard or another, and then they skew it.
Hear me out. I think the different studios try to appease different groups of people. So, I think Infinity Ward tries to appease noobs, campers, things along those lines. It's been this way for a while. This is nothing new. Call of Duty Ghosts was the first game that really did it with a super fast time to kill. It was made for people who were staring at lines of sight. That's why Search and Destroy is so good in that game. Competitive Search and Destroy, it's because it's almost like playing a one-shot kill game. So it's like a little bit more serious, I guess you could say. But that's what Infinity Ward does. Treyarch tries to play into more arcadey feel, more movement, more options, that kind of thing. And then Sledge just kind of does their own thing. I don't know who they listen to, but I definitely think he's onto something there, where like the different studios listen to different people. And then because every single time each studio makes a big change to their game, then they have to make it to Warzone and it changes up that movement, and then it doesn't feel like the same game anymore. The people that enjoyed it, the community that it built's already gone.
Too far in one direction, which was Warzone 2. It was slow as fuck. You basically couldn't slide cancel. It was miserable.
Yeah, everyone
hated
hated
that. And they try to bring it back a little bit, and they're just trying to find this perfect middle point. But the middle point that they already artificially created is skill-based matchmaking. Like, we've
we're
been
back
sitting
to
here
that.
complaining about skill-based matchmaking. Every map seems, every match is like sweaty and you can't stand it. That's not the issue with like the game itself and the actual system. It's the fact that this game has been around for so long. Controllers have been in people's hands longer than they've ever have been before. And the general player base is just better than they were with the nostalgia that we have 10 years ago. I think they need to open up the floodgates, let the players have the most control over the movement as they possibly can. Give them the fucking stims, give them the slide canceling, give them the tack sprint immediately. Don't try to mitigate snaking. They just try to solve problems that aren't actually the problems that are stopping people from enjoying the game. And they just need to give everybody all the tools that you could have to play as fast as you want.
I don't disagree with that, honestly. I really don't disagree with that. Like, if it's a game, right? He's 100% right about the fact that it's still on Urzikstan is an issue. Like, we have to look at Fortnite. When they had their very first map, every season, like 4 locations on that map would change. I don't know the exact number. You can let me know down in the comments. I wasn't big in Fortnite, but they would change like all of these things. It felt like half of a new map. And then like a month or 2 later, 4 more. Month or 2 later, 4 more. And then like by the time they were done with like 6 months, it felt like a completely different map than 3 months earlier. Verdansk was essentially, minus like the stadium opening up, which is still the same location with just added things. It felt like the same map a year, 2 years later than it did at the very beginning. El Mazrah never really changed. Urzikstan, they added in Superstore and then re-removed it. It's the exact same map from the very beginning. Even if Superstore was there, same map. They're not changing enough to keep it fresh. They're changing the wrong things. They're changing the movement, which should be the same. Honestly, if they had the movement from like just the beginning of Warzone, I think people would be fine with it. Now, here's what's crazy. What month is it? January. In 10 months from now, we're going to have a new Call of Duty game out, and I almost guarantee you it is going to have wall running. I'd put money on it. I would really, really put money on it. They're going to add that into Warzone. They're going to refresh Warzone again. The same thing is going to happen at this time next year that is happening right now. Guaranteed. And not to say that I don't think wall running should also be in Warzone. It's just if they refresh everything else, huge problem. Huge, huge problem. And we'll see what happens. Does it have me concerned? Hell yeah. Do I hope we get another DMZ? Hell yeah, but that'll be Modern Warfare 4. But I agree with some of the things that they said, but it needs to be fresh. We need to have fresh maps, new things, new locations to go explore, new events to go play. But at the same time, there's got to be consistency. Consistency is, I think, the most important word. Improvement and consistency.